Hello everyone, Twisted Animatronic here. Now what if the fate of Sleepy Moon holds the key all along to understanding the entire story of Secret of the Mimic? I know, crazy, right? Because many people have been theorizing on who or what is actually inside of this costume. Well, let me tell you now, all the videos you've seen on this thus far have got it all wrong. And believe you me, when we uncover the secret of who's inside of Sleepy Moon, I think it'll blow your mind. And don't forget, hit subscribe to stay up to date with everything FNAF and Secret of the Mimic as it releases. And immediately, I'd like to draw your attention to Sleepy Moon and the area he's founding. Now, if you don't know, Sleepy Moon is found literally below the MCM factory, and he's specifically found below Storytime Showroom. And if you don't know where that is in the game, that is literally just before you go into Big Top's showroom. Why this is extremely interesting is because he's found several floors below. How do we know this? Well, once you take the elevator down, you see a huge Sleepy Moon head, and it's clearly fallen through the showroom several floors down. Now, believe it or not, this bit of information is crucial because it shows us and tells us that Sleepy Moon was never meant to be below the showroom. It was always in the showroom until this giant head fell. And this is where things start to get interesting because we find several mail logs throughout the playthrough seeming to indicate that Sleepy Moon was buried down there before this head collapsed through the ceiling. Take a look at this. Hey Clarence, you as bored as I am? I can't believe we got the retail showroom detail again. So boring. Hello, did you finally get into the elevator? That thing hasn't worked in so long. I don't even think Murray knows what's down there anymore. Regards, Sean. Now, this log seems to indicate that there was an elevator down, and it hasn't worked in a very long time. Let's move on to the second note. This one is entitled Retail, Monday, 8 AM. Sean, I found out why they closed it down. There's something below us. I've trapped it behind the carousel for now, but I don't know how long that can hold it. I've programmed the monitors to give you the code. I gotta go. I'll mail you later. Whoever sent this message seemed to indicate that they knew something was below the Sleepy showroom. They also even say that they trapped it themselves behind the carousel for now, but don't know how long that can hold. This is interesting because in the previous log, it was stated they didn't know how long this elevator had been closed, and Murray himself didn't even know what was down there. This only deepens the mystery, because we have the final message, which basically says, there you have it, just don't use the code unless it's a matter of life or death. Have mercy on our souls if that thing ever gets out. Now, immediately you think it's referencing Sleepy Moon, right? Because when we go down there, that's the only thing which is down there. But that couldn't be the case because we know Sleepy Moon would be way above ground in the original showroom until the head falls below, which at no point do they reference this in any of their logs. They only talk about one way down, and that's the elevator. And secondly, they also talk about in the first log that no one's been down there in a really long time, and Murray doesn't even know what was down there. This tells me they were not referencing Sleepy Moon. That comes later, and I'll fully explain that later. They were referencing something before Sleepy Moon, some other entity. That would only leave, basically, the Mimic or something before the Mimic, and I think a lot of people seem to have completely missed this. You see, a lot of people had theorized that it was a lone worker which was left down there, abandoned, and couldn't get back up because the elevator didn't work. I mean, we find a log down there saying this, and they seem to think that for whatever reason, this worker which was abandoned down there seemed to put on the Sleepy Moon costume, die inside of it, and haunt it. But this doesn't make any sense. Why would you, if you were locked down in the basement, put on a costume to die inside of it of hunger? Sure, you could put the costume on to have its light, but why would we need to put it on to have the light? You could just have the light without the costume on. Secondly, Sleepy Moon would only be down there after the head falls down through the ceiling, and if the head had fallen down through the ceiling, surely the man could make his way up through the ceiling and the debris, or at least give it a good go. And thirdly, narratively, that just doesn't fit. There are several other narratives, which I will cover in a second, which are way more fitting and make sense. You see, I think the original logs where they're talking about where they found something down there, they wasn't referring to Sleepy Moon. We know that because Sleepy Moon wasn't down there. The thing hadn't fallen through the ceiling yet. Because at no point in these logs do they even mention another hole as a way down. It's only the elevator, which hasn't been used in a very long time. Murray didn't even know what's down there, and that's important because remember who Murray got this factory from. His dad. His dad owned the factory prior to him. He ran it like a tight ship, so it's probable to believe he also had other inventions himself. Daddy Murray would have had other things below the factory, right? But before we get onto that, let's talk about something else which you could have been locked down there first. And believe it or not, that is the M2 Mimic. I know, crazy, but hear me out. We know Edwin beats M2. We literally have the audio log of it.
Stop. You're not him. You're not. Stop sounding like him. 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . 。 . . . . . . .
Stop. You're not him. You're not. Stop sounding like him.
After this log, we never hear of what actually becomes of the Endo. Sure, we know it comes back, builds its own legs when Murray doesn't have his. That's a bit of a coincidence. But up until this point, he could have just abandoned that Endo somewhere. And where would he want to abandon it when no one can find it? In this area below the Sleepy showroom. It's at this point where this log from Fiona makes a lot more sense. This is where she says, Edwin, please talk to me. We need to stop it together. Here are the blueprints for a cradle. It can keep David safe and provide boundaries. It's a type of computer. It's bigger than anything we've done before. If you won't finish the program, consider building the cradle. It will keep people safe. This tells me that M2 is already potentially hurting people, hence why she says it will keep people safe. It's also why she says we need to stop it together. Interestingly though, I don't know why she says it can keep David safe. Is David still alive at this point? That's a theory for another day and something I've covered on this one right here. Watch it after this. But the point I'm getting at is that Edwin, at this point, took the mimic below the factory, below the Sleepy Time showroom and locked it away there, hoping to never see it again. That's why when he returns from below the factory, he turns the elevator off once more, locking that technician down there with M2. Now immediately I know we're thinking, well, Mimic would have stuffed this technician inside of Sleepy Moon, right? Hold that thought, because at this point there is no way down there. Sleepy Moon hasn't come through the ceiling with the big head yet. The technician's down there, M2 is down there, no mascot costume. This is why the other logs reference something being down there. That's what they spot. They spot M2. They also then potentially spot what M2 has been doing and potentially attacking and killing the worker. Hence why they said what they say in log 3, may God have mercy on our souls, whatever. Now I know what you're thinking, how does this link to Sleepy Moon? Well, at some point that falls through the ceiling, presumably when there were people in that showroom. Why do I say that? Well, there's an audio log from the Mr. Helper Bear or whatever it is, actually detailing that
We're sad to announce that the Storytime showroom is currently closed, pending mitigation of insurance claims.
Indicating people were probably present when it fell through the ceiling, injuring either A, potential customers, or B, potential staff. Now, it couldn't have been David, because a lot of people seem to theorize that David would have gone in there, then it would have fell through the ceiling, because why would David's family be suing their own family? That doesn't make sense. This literal audio log tells us that a customer or worker was in that room when it fell through, not David. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out when the sleepy head fell through, the mascot also fell through as well, falling below into this area where we find it. But how does it become seemingly possessed? Well, you could say that the mimic goes inside of it and possesses it and starts chasing us around when we're down there, right? Makes sense. The mimic's been possessing every other costume. Well, not entirely. You see, because the mechanical noises of Moon compared to all the other mascots the mimic inhabits sound completely different. Here, listen to Moon's mechanical noises. Now, having heard that with Moon, listen to the actual mascot costumes with the mimic inside of. You can clearly tell there's a massive difference between the two, right? That tells me Mimic was not inside of Sleepy Moon. So not only did they sound different, also, when the sleepy head fell down through the ceiling, that would be the perfect time for M2 to then escape into the factory. And that's exactly what happened. And not only that, the blueprint for Sleepy Moon's design shows us that it was meant for a human, not for an endo or an animatronic. Therefore, further reinforcing that M2 wasn't inside Sleepy Moon. M2 had already escaped into the factory. So why didn't Moon escape into the factory? And who is inside of Moon? Well, this is where things start to take an interesting twist here. Because as I said earlier, I don't believe it to be the actual mechanic slash technician which was locked down there. That just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Although it does give it the paranormal aspect. So I am leaning towards somebody being inside of Moon. And throughout the entirety of the game and in the Moon EXE ending, Moon is symbolized to be no other than Edwin Murray. I mean, every theorist under the sun, no pun intended, is theorizing that in Moon EXE, Moon is literally Edwin Murray and Sun was Fiona. So therefore, wouldn't the sleepy mascot costume be Moon? But I know, how would Edwin end up below there and in that costume in the first place? Well, hear me out here, because this is gonna be wild. Remember when we discover the log where we hear Mimic talking to Edwin in his office? Now, Edwin has seemingly lost the use of his his legs and Mimic has seemingly repaired or gotten legs. I thought that was a bit of a coincidence, almost as if he took Edwin Murray's legs and put him on himself. Gruesome, I know, but there seems to be a bit of an irony going on there. Murray lost his and the Mimic gained theirs. We also know Murray's the one who caused this. Murray's the one who caused the Mimic to lose its legs and then seemingly abandons it below the sleepy showroom. Now what if, in a twist of fate, the Mimic / M2 breaks Edwin's legs as payback, almost as if saying, hey, you did this to me, I'm doing this to you. And not only does he break his legs, he decides then he's going to do exactly what he did to him. He's now going to drag an unconscious Edwin below the factory to where Edwin took him. He's going to take him below the Sleepy Time showroom and he's going to lock him down there, abandon him with this Sleepy Showtime mascot costume. Oh, and we're not done there. There's plenty more evidence to be had. You see, the voice actor which plays Edwin Murray, he is also, get this, the voice actor for Sleepy Moon. Could be a coincidence, right? Coincidences in FNAF? Oh, but wait, there's even more. We also know that throughout Secret of the Mimic, M2 has been stuffing technicians and personnel inside of these mascot costumes. This tells us immediately he has the capability and programming to do exactly the same to Edwin if it wanted to. I've even theorized that he stuffed David inside of a mascot costume, which you can see on this video here, which I recommend watching after this, by the way. It's very good. And not only that, have you actually heard Moon's dialogue? Take a listen to this.
Lullaby and good night with roses bed light. Lullaby and good night with roses bed light. With lilies o'erspread his baby's wee bed. With lilies o'erspread his baby's wee bed. Lay thee down now and rest, may thy slumber be blessed. Lay thee down now and rest, may thy slumber be blessed. Lay thee down now and rest, may thy slumber be blessed. Lay thee down now and rest, may thy slumber be blessed.
Now, we know Edwin's voice actor is the one who recorded that message for Sleepy Moon, but interesting enough, this is Lullaby and Good Night, and it's from 1868. And when it's translated into English, it's about a mother singing her child to sleep, wishing for a peaceful slumber and protection by angels. In the cruel twist of fate, Edwin is now in this Sleepy Moon costume, singing this Lullaby and Good Night for his dead child, David. It was never M2 in this costume, it was never that other technician, it was Edwin Murray, which M2 had put him inside of this costume. He literally got his own back, his revenge, after Edwin Murray dragged him down there after beating him and removing his limbs. Maybe he even did that on purpose to stop him from escaping. He probably thought, if I remove the legs as well, he's never gonna leave this place below the factory. Lo and behold, he did. He built himself new legs, takes Edwin Murray's legs away from him, drags him back down to the place where Edwin took him in a way to say, I'm doing to you what you did to me. He mimicked literally what Edwin Murray had done to him, to a T. The only difference is, he decides to stuff him in that Sleepy Moon costume. I mean, it all fits. Even the Moon.exe ending portrays Murray as Moon, but yet the Moon actual mascot costume isn't him, it's just some random technician. I don't buy it, and I like this narrative, story, and ending better. The only thing for me which I don't like is that would rule out Murray as a returning actual character in the future being alive, but they could have him return as this Moon character in the supernatural form. I'm not sure which I would prefer, to be honest, an alive Murray in the future or the supernatural Murray in the future. It's hard to pick one, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this theory, hit the like button, please. It does really help me out and helps to share it on YouTube. And subscribe, because there's loads of FNAF content coming up on the channel. You're missing out by not subscribing, trust me. I mean, 1 out of 3 Fazbear employees has complete faith in you. You can just smell that $25 gift certificate, can't you? With a massive thanks to the Fazbear technicians on screen now. Lauren, Reno Fox, Razitsu Arisu, Queen Bubbles, and our Twisted Fazbear CEO, Penguin Lover 12. I don't know why I'm reading their voices out like this, I just thought I'd do so for some fun. Anyway, I'm Twisted Animatronic. Stay safe out there, superstars.